and have a democratic transition, and the country can get on with the job.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
As Elvis would say, thank you very much. What a tragedy that in Mr English's valedictory speech he found he had a heart and that he actually cared for New Zealanders. But we want to begin, Mr Speaker, by wishing you the very best for Christmas and the New Year, all the parliamentary staff, wherever they may work, from Hansard all the way through the cleaners, the caterers, security, drivers. Speak clearly.
Order.
Oh, I see. Who said that?
Well,
the doozy.
It's a member who I'd advise not to come back in this year. To colleagues in New Zealand First and inside and outside of Parliament, we had a really tough year where the prospects were fantastic, and then all of a sudden one day they changed and we were fighting for our political lives. Such is politics. But then, after all the votes were counted and negotiations were completed, our party in the end decided that the country needed to change course, so thank you for your efforts to make this country a better place. Now, this is the season of goodwill, but lest we forget. Lest we forget. I would have thought that Mr Bridges would be the last guy to open his mouth today. The very last guy. Now, congratulations on being a father for the second time, third time. Well, the rest of us were out campaigning too hard, we couldn't leave off or things like that. Now, in the last election, the National Party made countless promises, and as the polls started to change, they got desperate, and nearly everything they promised was going to be financed by PPPs. They had no idea about the Dunedin Hospital or Whangarei Boys High School or motorways everywhere, and the man that just opened his mouth, the fellow with the $11 billion hole, was probably the biggest cause of National's demise. Oh, not rubbish. There were shortages in the police. There were shortages of police, 1,000. There was multi-million dollars of debt in the district health boards. Everywhere you looked, there were shortages. And they were making the claim that they were responsible, good fiscal managers. Oh, no, they weren't. Oh, no, they weren't. They borrowed like there was no tomorrow. And they tossed money around like an eight-armed octopus to their mates. They borrowed to have tax cuts. And boy, they're embittered now that they're not going to happen next April because we have better causes in the interests of equity and fairness to finance that desperately need our support right now. Could I just say, no, we're not taking any of the pensioners. Quite the contrary. Every pensioner out there knows that there's one government, this one, that'll look after them. Oh, yes, they do. I can tell you, I get so much correspondence from people saying to me, thank God guys are back. Or they do. They say to me everywhere I go. They even want photographs and autographs and everything else. And I say, look, we're just doing what should be done for the people of this country who we respect because they created New Zealand the way it currently is. Could I just say, the defence budget, for example, was $20 billion over 20 years and not 1 cent ascribed in the last budget. Oh, yes, it's rubbish. That's your specialty. It is rubbish. It appears as a fiscal risk. That is not budgeting. Sorry, didn't put any money in. There was a blowout of $154 million on this latest frigate upgrade. $154 million. Did they tell anybody? Not a word. Not a mutter, not a murmur. Didn't say a thing about it. So they deserve to be where they are. And can I just say this, in foreign affairs, it was chronically underfunded, run down, aid underfunded. And when it comes to the racing industry, well, a report came out today which is a disgrace for a country like ours. 9 years of doing nothing, and then emerges case after case of what looks like animal cruelty. They had 4 ministers. Not one of them knew the back end of a horse. Right? They knew what came out of it, but they didn't know how to deal with the problem. But there's a shocking report out today, and we'll fix it up. They claim to be prudent managers. But you know, the ASB report out this week says the growth rate was falling to 2.6. The population growth is 2.2. And even this foreign-owned bank is pointing out just how pathetic National were as economic managers. That's right. Just pathetic. Oh, no, I'm not giving it up. I'm not giving it up. I'm giving it over. It's getting started. And their only answer was to go into further and further overseas ownership. And thank God that stopped. A collapse of National's marketing spin leaves its leader hopelessly exposed. The very worst place to be today is on the front bench of the National Party. Oh, yes. Oh, I can hear the grindstone now. I can see the sparks from the knives being sharpened as we speak. Oh, you better stay and listen to this. It includes you.
Order. I'm not going anywhere.
Mr. Speaker, it would be very remiss of me, as the Minister of Racing, not to offer some odds on the likely leadership of the National Party. So can I start with the first one? That's Selwyn MP Amy Adams. She is playing such a long game that it'll be all over before she starts. She's 30-1. And then we've got the favourite from Papakura, Judith Collins. She's been playing a short game for a long time. And so I've got her odds at 5-1. And then you've got an outsider from Tamaki, Simon O'Connor, the oldest young man in New Zealand politics. He's 50-1. And then you've got the 154 million deficit Coleman man from Northcote. He has, in the parlance, not got out of the gate, the DHB gates, that is, so he's 100-1. Another outsider is Nick Smith, the member for Nelson, who at least has the virtue of perfectly embodying how old and tired National looks. That only leaves. Oh, look, I love having Nick Smith in this house because he makes me look young. That only leaves three pretenders. Stephen Joyce won't make it to the start. His form was terrible. He's the 11.7 billion fiscal hole. It was all fake news. The election campaign was worse for it, and his leader were diminished in their seat for the country, and he will instead follow General Omar Bradley's advice to turn in his tongue, along with his suit, and to mothball his opinions. That leaves just two. George Eliot once said that there were men whose very presence infused in others deep trust and reverence. Mr. Speaker, the member for Tauranga is not such a man. He is most definitely not such a man. He is a one-lane bridge blocking a highway full of caucus ambition. They will quickly run him down if he gets in their road. And you know who's in his road over there. Which leaves only one. And given how much the National Party is in the tank to the Chinese interests, there's a real chance that National's Manchurian candidate, Yang, will steal the leadership odds. I got him out 2-1 to be the next leader of the National Party. It's all there, and the reason why. And they won't respond. It's sad about that, because the one-screen party called itself National when they understood. Oh, no, it's not. He who pays the piper calls the tune. And we know what tune National's calling these days. Oh, don't get it. Oh, well, have a look at the return. Have a look at the electoral returns.
Order. I am going to interrupt the member and make it clear that he's got to take particular care when he's coming close to making suggestions about the responses as a result of financing.
Well, I was being asked a question, Mr. Speaker, and when you have a look at the annual returns, which you'll see very shortly, you'll see for every dollar we spent on the campaign, the National Party spent 10. Spent 10 per vote. That's my answer, Miss Adams. We don't get funded like the National Party, and that's why we are the longest new surviving party since 1916. Aren't you proud of that? I am. Now I want to close with all the shouting and attention, they're all buoyed now. But I know deep in their hearts, being on the front bench there is the most dangerous place to be in New Zealand. We've got to be safe on our roads. We've got to be safe in our beaches and on our land this holidays. But the most dangerous place to be right now is the National Party front bench. Because over there, they know they can't win ever with them. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Jerry Browning.
Well, Mr. Speaker,